Something happened recently that the narcissist in your life would never want you to know about. Not in a public place, not in a moment they could control or frame or spin into something that served their image. In a private moment, the kind that arrives without warning in the middle of an ordinary day, when the defenses that usually operate so efficiently suddenly and completely failed them. They broke down. And when they did, when the carefully constructed architecture of their persona cracked open under the weight of something they could no longer manage, a name came out. Yours. This is not a small thing. For someone whose entire psychological structure is organized around the appearance of self-sufficiency, around the performance of someone who needs nothing and no one, around the iron maintenance of an image that says, I am fine, I am always fine, I was fine before you, and I am fine without you. This moment of collapse carries an enormous amount of psychological information. Carl Jung would not find this surprising, he would find it inevitable. To understand why, you have to understand what Jung called the tension of opposites, a principle at the very heart of his psychological framework. Jung observed that the psyche operates like a system seeking equilibrium. When enormous energy is invested in maintaining one position, an equal and opposite force builds in the unconscious. The more rigid the conscious stance, the more powerful the eventual eruption from below. The more thoroughly a feeling is suppressed, the more explosive its eventual emergence becomes. The narcissist has spent the entire duration of their relationship with you, and likely every relationship before it, investing extraordinary psychological energy into a single position. I do not need anyone. I am not affected. I am in control of what I feel and what I show and what I allow to matter to me. That investment requires constant maintenance. It is exhausting in ways the narcissist cannot fully acknowledge even to themselves, and like any system under sustained pressure, it eventually finds the point of least resistance and breaks through. In that moment of breakthrough, the unconscious delivers what the conscious mind has been refusing to process. The feelings that were never metabolized, the attachment that was never acknowledged, the grief that was never permitted. And all of that unprocessed material has a face attached to it, a specific presence that it associates with the exact moment when genuine feeling became most threatening and therefore most thoroughly suppressed. Your face, your name. Jung wrote extensively about what he called the feeling function, one of the four primary functions of the psyche through which human beings process experience. For the narcissistic personality, the feeling function is not absent. This is a critical misunderstanding that causes people enormous confusion after leaving these relationships. They felt nothing. I meant nothing to them. None of it was real. Jung would correct this. The feeling function in the narcissist is not absent. It is inaccessible, buried under decades of psychological defense that began forming in early childhood. When genuine feeling proved unsafe, when vulnerability produced consequences that the young psyche could not afford to repeat, the capacity to feel was not destroyed. It was walled off, protected behind a structure so elaborate and so long-standing that the narcissists themselves ceased to believe it existed. But walled off does not mean gone. It means pressurized. And when the wall cracks, everything that was stored behind it does not emerge quietly. It emerges with the full force of everything that was never allowed expression. Years of suppressed attachment, seasons of unfelt grief, the accumulated weight of genuine connection that was experienced but never acknowledged, processed but never permitted. This is what broke through when your name came out. Now here is the part that requires the most careful understanding, because this moment, the breakdown, the appearance of your name, the involuntary revelation That you matter in ways the narcissist spent enormous energy denying is the part where your own psychology becomes most vulnerable. Something in you will want to assign this moment a meaning it may not be able to carry. You will want it to mean that they are ready now, that the wall has finally come down, that what this breakdown revealed is the beginning of something different, rather than simply a crack in something that will be rapidly repaired. You will want the involuntary mention of your name to be the opening of a door you have been standing outside of for longer than was good for you. Jung would ask you to pause here, to bring the full clarity of your own hard-won self-knowledge to this moment before you allow hope to make decisions on your behalf. A crack in the wall is not the same as the wall coming down. The narcissist's breakdown is real. The feelings that surfaced in it are real. The attachment those feelings reveal is real. But the psychological structure that suppressed all of it for so long does not dissolve in a single moment of collapse. It has been under construction for most of their life. It is load-bearing in ways they cannot yet see clearly. And the ego that built it, the part of the psyche Jung identified as most resistant to genuine change, will move quickly to repair the breach once the immediate pressure is released. This is the cycle that most people who have loved a narcissist know intimately. The crack, the glimpse of something real beneath the surface, the brief, disorienting experience of the person you always believed was in there somewhere finally appearing. And then the repair, the closing back down, the return to the familiar architecture, sometimes accompanied by shame at having been seen, sometimes by anger at the person who witnessed the collapse, sometimes simply by the quiet rebuilding of distance that protects the structure from further vulnerability. Jung called this enantiodromia, the swing back to the opposite position, the psyche's tendency, when pushed too far in one direction, to overcorrect, to compensate, to restore the balance it knows, even when the balance it knows is profoundly unhealthy. What you do with this information matters. It matters because you have done your own work. You have walked your own interior journey. You have reached a place of genuine wholeness that did not come easily and did not come free. And that wholeness deserves to be protected with the same fierce honesty that it took to build. The narcissist's breakdown is their psyche doing what Jung always said the psyche eventually does, moving toward truth, despite every conscious effort to maintain the fiction. It is their individuation process, however reluctant, however terrifying to them, beginning to assert itself. But their process belongs to them, as your process belongs to you. You cannot walk it for them. You cannot love them across the distance between where they are and where genuine change would require them to go. You cannot make the breakdown mean more than it currently means, simply because you need it to. What you can do is recognize it for what it is, confirmation of something you always knew. You were never nothing to them. The connection was never the fiction they performed. What existed between you was real enough to survive years of suppression and emerge in the most unguarded moment they have had in a long time. That is not nothing. But real feeling in an unready soul is not the same as a love that is capable of holding you properly. You know the difference now, and knowing the difference is everything.